Okay, we're going to be getting started. So one of the things I want to let everybody know is we're going to be doing everything from two websites. So if you want to be a participant but you don't want to be on stage, we'll have a website called tweetwall.swipemic.com. So that's kind of a tweet wall where it'll be basically Instagrams and those things. If you have friends or if you have, I have some people that are going to be overseas, both in Sydney, Manila, and Hong Kong that are going to be participating. So this is live. So it'll be on live.swipemic.com. So we're trying to get all that set up. So feel free to check those out. None of the people that are sitting are being seen. It's only the people that are up here. However, it is virtual reality. So we're trying to be in the 21st century. So I was going to ask, can you guys turn off the music? I'm so sorry. Thanks, you guys. How are you guys doing? Good?
Yes.
Really? Is that all the energy you guys got? Give me some energy. Are you guys excited? This is an experiment. We're doing science. That's what we're doing right now. We're doing complete science. I am Jackson. This is Swipe Mike. This has never been done before. I know people have talked about bad dating stories, but no one's ever done it in a collective group like this. So this is what this is about. I'm actually not from here. I'm originally from Hong Kong. I just moved here back in February, so this is kind of a new thing. I fell in love with it, came here for 2 weeks, fell madly in love with it. How many people are from Asheville in here? One person. One person. Anybody in the coffee or the coffee? Anybody? You know? Nobody's from Asheville. So, but how many people from North Carolina up in here? Woo! One more person. That's right. You should also raise your hand because now you're Asheville. Okay, you got it by default. Great. Well, I am originally from Atlanta. Spent the last 20 years in overseas in Hong Kong. I work for a film company, so we're trying to start a new type of series based on dating. Because the reason I wanted to do Swipe Mike was I feel like, I don't know about you guys, I think dating's kind of sucky now. Unless you have somebody. I don't want to, I'm looking at Erin, I'm looking at you two, and you're like, yeah, this sucks right now. But no, you guys look good. I don't want to knock that, so you guys are looking fine. But no, I just noticed the online dating, coming back from overseas, trying to date in America, it's been really tough. And also just being sick of, I don't know about you guys, but getting dick pics. Everyone's getting, not me, but, you know what I mean? And not me, sure, of course.
Of course you are.
Yeah, well, I did one dick pic one time. It didn't work very well. This was like 5-7 years ago. I did when I was doing like my first personal ad. My first personal ad had basically like walks on the park, like, like poetry, and then I had a picture of my penis. But you don't like pictures of the penis. Penis, you like the eyes. The eyes are the windows to the soul. So my next ad was basically I like puppies, I like ocean walks, and then I had a picture of my penis from the mirror showing my eyes, just to try to make sure you had both sides of that. Anyway, so I used to be a stand-up comedian too, way back in the day. I did it for about, not a very good one, but I did it for about 10 years. My home club was in Atlanta at Laughing Skull at the Vortex. I'm not sure if you guys have ever been there, Laughing Skull downtown, Midtown. And then my other home club is Takeout Comedy in Hong Kong, if you ever get to go. Really good comedy. And you're probably like, wow, they do comedy in Hong Kong? Yeah, we do comedy in Hong Kong. I know it's communist. We don't like to call it communism. It's not communist. We like to call it a one-party system. Because who doesn't like to party? You know what I mean? I do. Ain't no party like a communist party, because a communist party, it doesn't really stop. It doesn't stop at all. So I'm not trying to do comedy. I'm just trying to let you know why I gave up comedy. So I did comedy for a long time, and then I had an incident about 2 years ago. I was doing a show in Hong Kong, and had a person get very violent in one of my shows, and I tried to deal with it in a bad, constructive way, and I hit him with a glass, and I had to go spend 9 weeks in a maximum security prison in China for doing stand-up. I became the O.J. Simpson trial for stand-up comedy in Hong Kong. It was tough. Let me tell you something, I learned a lot. I learned a lot being in Chinese prison. And I know I sound like I'm doing stand-up, but I promise these are total truths. The first thing is I learned this, they always say you don't date where you work, you don't eat where you shit, that kind of thing. Except if you're in prison, then you have no choice. That's the only thing you have. I also learned too that is if you're in Chinese prison at any time, do not look at the horoscope. If you're ever in prison, just don't read your horoscope because it could come back and bite you. Because I was reading my horoscope, And it said, you will learn to write letters again. And I was like, huh, that's pretty true. And it said, you will find the love of your life. I'm like, fuck this horoscope. Not in Chinese prison. So tonight is not about hating on people. It's not about hating the dates. It's not also about just like, I just want to ridicule someone or talk bad about them. I just want to bring romance back. And it's pretty easy to do an open mic, and you can sing songs, and you can do poetry. But I feel like one of the biggest problems that we have with dating right now is sometimes you just want to put out there what you want. And you also find that the things that you don't want attracts you to the people that you do want. And that's really what this is to actually create a physical space, bond over a date you hate. And that's what the whole goal for Swipe Mic is. And so the goal for today is, if you have a dating story, if you know your parents' dating story, if you know somebody else's dating story, whatever it takes to try to get up on the open mic, because we have 6 slots tonight, so we have 6 slots, so I'd love to come through. I also want to make sure we give credit to the Summit Coffee. Give it to Summit Coffee. They're awesome. They're the only ones brave enough to do this, by the way. I've tried this 3 times on 3 different continents, and everybody says, whoa, what a great idea. And then at the last minute, people get freaked out, and they're like, I don't want to do this. This is kind of scary. So I'm glad you guys are putting up with this. So we're going to be doing a couple of things today. So not only are we going to be doing open mics about bad dating stories, I want you to use your mobile phones. So if you have like a chat message, that like a DM someone sent you that is just crazy, like a direct message that someone just said that, hey, what's up, girl, whatever it is that you think is funny, we are going to be giving away prizes. So for the best DM, I call them DM damn. Anyone that has a DM damn, you can basically post it to Swipe Mic. Swipe Mic on Instagram, Swipe Mic Twitter, hashtag, doesn't matter, it will be showing up on our tweet wall. So, and what we're going to be doing is whoever has the best DM damn wins a $10 gift certificate from Summit Coffee. Then we also have one for those people. Have you ever started talking to someone, chatting with them, texting them, and then all of a sudden your autocorrect totally screws it up? You know, I remember one time we have typhoons in Hong Kong a lot. And so when a typhoon happens in Hong Kong, we party because everything shuts down except the clubs. So I remember once, but then the problem is when the typhoon shuts everything down, once the typhoon's over, you gotta go straight to work. But we're all hungover. So I remember one time I got back from partying, the typhoon was over, I had to go straight to work, but I wanted to text my boss and tell him, hey man, I'm gonna be a little late. So I says, hey, I said basically I'm running late, Gary. But my phone autocorrected it to ruining life, gay, and then I got fired. But so it's one of those things, so if you have any of those auto-incorrects that you think is funny, we're going to be talking about some of those. That's what we want. We're also going to talk about dick pics. So if there's any kids, I don't think there's any kids in the audience. So our goal is to stop dick pics, drop the mic on dick pics. So we're going to be doing what we call dick pic Rickrolling. So what we're going to do is we want someone who gets just tired of dick pics. If you're just sick and tired of dick pics, let us know. We're going to sing the Rick Astley song to that person that sent you that dick pic. We're going to Rickroll that dick pic. So that's going to be at the end. We're also going to have a celebrity judge. So we have somebody that's in Sydney, Australia right now. His name is Sam McCool. He won Australia's Got Talent. He's one of the best comedians there. He's watching this live, like kind of like a voyeur, but like a CIA, but Australia, but down under. He's watching it. He's going to be basically kind of ranking some of the, not the dick pics, but ranking some of the DMs, ranking some of those things. And so we're going to be, so he'll be coming on, doing a little bit of story time, also with his stories of what it's like down under. And then we're going to try to get him to judge who's going to win this. So this is brand new. Thank you guys for coming through. Give a hand to yourself. Give it up for yourselves. Yeah. I feel like I'm doing that movie where the dude's never done stand-up before. He's like, yes, I'm crushing it. But you're really sucking. Anyway. So, I want to start with me. My name is, as I said, Jackson, but that's not my real name. My real name is Gary. But I don't go by Gary because when I lived in Japan, Gary means diarrhea. So when I would go to Tokyo, they say, konnichiwa, Gary-san, and they would laugh. And I'm like, why is everybody laughing? I'm like, well, basically your name means Mr. Shits. So I go by Jackson, so you can call me Jackson. I want to tell my first dating story. This is a very intimate story to kind of get this thing started. It's my first girlfriend that I ever had a crush on, and so I just wanted to kind of put it out there and kind of see what it takes us, and then from that, we're going to go to Craigslist, just to show the transition. No, you'll see. So anyway, the first girl I ever had a crush on, her name was, I don't know if I'm supposed to say, so let me just say, she's Welch's Grape Jelly, because I can't say her full name. But I was 12 years old, had a huge crush on her, but I was a super nerd. I haven't changed much, but I was a super nerd, and she never liked me. She just thought I was too nerdy. So one day I was coming from the school bus broke down. So I got home early, and while they were fixing the bus, and I thought to myself, I know how I can get her to like me. When the bus gets fixed and it drives by, I'm going to climb up in a tree, and I'm going to jump limb for limb while the bus is going by, so I can show her that I am like strong and freaking action-packed. It was flawed. It was a flawed from the beginning. So anyway, I got up in the tree. I saw this limb. I jumped limb to limb. I looked badass, like Tarzan. I was crushing it. And then I waited, and then I waited, and then finally the bus came by. She wasn't in it. Then I saw a truck go by. She was in the back. It was her grandfather that had picked her up. I was like, damn it! I missed my chance. So I jumped the limb. It broke, and I fell 6 feet and broke both of my arms. Let me tell you something. Breaking your arms sounds bad. It's really bad when you have to go to the toilet. Because my grandma had to go to the toilet with me. And, when you have to take a poop, she would have to, because I was in casts. I couldn't move and you can't maneuver when you're in casts. So my grandmother would come into the bathroom and she's like, you're finished. And I'm like, no, Grandma, I think you need to wait one more time. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I'm going to the purpose. So 6 years later, she never went out with me. She never liked me. 6 years later, I was in college in Atlanta, and I finally found her before Facebook, and we met, and we got to go on a date to go see La Miserables at the Fox Theater. I don't know if anyone's been to the Fox Theater. Has anyone been to the Fox Theater? You know what I'm talking about, downtown, Peachtree? So we went to go see a musical, and I was so excited because she finally was going to go on a date with me. I was 22 years old. This is almost 10 years past. So we go on this date, and I'm getting sick as a dog. I got a cold, but I'm not going to cancel this. 10 years. So we go to the Fox Theater. We're sitting in there, and she's putting her hand in my hand. She's like kissing my hand. I mean, it's getting really affectionate. And I think I'm going to barf at any moment. I am so sick. So I fight it, and then finally she wants me to go back to my place. I was in college. We go back to my dorm. We're about to hook up, and she wanted to go all the way. But the issue is, I couldn't, because she was the woman that I thought was my perfect woman, right? So I'd waited 10 years to see her, and all of a sudden she just wanted to have sex with me. And I couldn't do it. Also, I was getting sick, but that's beside the point. But you know what I mean? So one of my things is, I told her, I said, I apologize. It's not like I didn't want to. Let me tell you something, I was hard as a rock. But I'm just saying, I just couldn't do it because I didn't want to ruin the dream that she was. And so I drove her home, and then we just became friends. But that's maybe a woman that I could have been my life mate, but I just didn't want to ruin a perfect woman. So anyway, see how flawed and messed up and how rambly that story is? That's how bad it could be. And I go back to all of you guys would be great if you do your stories. So with this being said, I want to do something a little different. I think one of the most romantic places on the internet right now that no one talks about is Craigslist. If you go to Missed Connections on Craigslist, has anyone read Missed Connections before? Yeah, everybody. But you know what no one does? No one treats it as romantic as it really is. Do you realize the statistical improbability of finding that person on Craigslist? So what I've got some of the best Craigslist connections from Asheville. So if I read these, and these apply to you, keep it to yourself. But I do have the printout so you can reach out to them. So now I'm going to read Craigslist connections live from the internet, and let's see if we can make some people fall in love tonight, okay? So give it up for yourself for being proper, and let me try to get this in the slot. You can tell maybe this is why I can, give me 5 seconds. How are you guys doing? Good? It's like watching a train wreck. Okay, hey, thanks, Juan, for coming through. Hey, I also want to give a shout out to Zati. Zati's my technical guy. Turn your mic on, man. No, it's not. Go ahead. Yeah. Turn it on. Okay, don't worry about it. I want to thank Zati for helping me out technically. I want to thank all of you guys for showing up because this is brand spanking new, so I want to try to get this going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read 8 Craigslist connections. I'm going to read them in a romantic way. And I want you guys to see if you know these people. And if you do, reach out to them and let them know this is where true love is. You ready? So Craigslist connections, misconnections, Asheville. You ready? Does anybody want music to this? Anybody want romantic music to this? Let's do romantic. Hold on.
What do you got there?
I got some romantic music. I also want to let everybody know that people that just came through, we do have a tweet wall going. So if you put swipe mic on it, you can say anything. You can say whatever you want to do. So the tweet wall is on tweetwall.swipemic.com. Okay, Craigslist connections. Let's read the first one. Several months ago, I was dining with a friend, and you are a server. I noticed your tattoo with a Shakespeare quote. We talked a lot about love of literature, favorite books, and authors. Don't want to overpower it. Though I am older, mid-50s, I really felt that there was some connection, but didn't know how to follow through. I wrote the name of one of my favorite books I thought you'd like and gave it to you. I wanted to see you again and ordered a copy from Amazon for you. Idiot! I realized there was no way to get it to you that wouldn't be awkward, so here it sits. There are great advantages to an older man for someone like you. I am free now to do whatever I want to and go wherever I want. I just needed a like-minded partner. Anyway, I think if nothing else, you'd be an interesting person to friend. The odds aren't good, but if you see this, I hope you get in touch. Please reach out to Looking for My Literary Server. This is in Brevard and Marcos. Anybody know this person? No? Okay. Never mind. We can do the shorter ones. Monday night at the auditorium. This was this last Monday night. Anybody at the auditorium? Okay. You were the gorgeous lady in the red dress whose dance had just missed. You had just moved here and we talked for a few minutes. I was visiting, but we'll be back and would love to see you. Maybe hit one of the suggested bars. That's it. How are we going to find this person? If you're going to do these, make some contact, my friend. Walmart. Anybody been to Walmart lately? Any of these ladies been to Walmart? You work at Walmart on Everett Road. I see you all the time when I come in shopping. You usually work in the jewelry department. You're a taller, sandy blonde, slim build, extremely attractive woman. I think you're married, but if you want to talk, let me know. It can be between us. Contact the jewelry lady and let her know that some guy likes it. This one's entitled Women in the Red SUV. This is getting more generic than that. Not making fun of these, by the way. I believe that if these people find true love, this is statistically destiny. I don't know if those two words don't really coincide, but anyway. This is for the brunette in the red SUV. We passed this evening on 240, easy. We smiled at each other. You had the most amazing smile ever. It's a long shot, but if you see this, tell me what I was driving. People believe in love, people. They wouldn't be writing this on Craigslist. Cane Creek Pool. This is the last one. You were at the pool with your daughter one Sunday afternoon in June. We spoke briefly before the weather had other plans. By a comment you made, it sounded like two of you weren't there often. I was hoping we would run into each other again, but never did. Would like to chat more. Tell me the logo on your hat. Anybody knows these? Okay. So that was that's our first Craigslist connections. Let's give it up for these people that are in love. Give it up. So now it's time for our first open mic. Yeah, is it too loud?
No, turn it up.
Oh, you can't hear me.
Turn it up.
You turn it up?
Crank it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
A little bit more.
How about now? Can you hear me? You're next, by the way. Yes, you have to be, because there's nobody else. So no pressure. So now is our first open mic story other than myself. She didn't even get to drink a beer first. I love this one because this is a really good story because it's about someone who's in love and what someone would do to be in love. They would get 2 DUIs in one night. And that is the story that we're about to give. I want you to give it up for the woman who runs Asheville Date Night, Jennifer Gordon. Give it up for Jennifer Gordon.
Am I really doing this?
You have to.
Hey, everybody. I'm not holding the microphone.
You have to. We're recording it.
Really?
People in Australia got to hear you. I'll hold your beer. Okay, there you go.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jen.
Hey, Jen.
I don't typically do this or get up in front of everybody, and I just got done working a 12-hour shift, so I'm kind of tired and whatever. But I do. This is not really a date night story. This is a story about an alcoholic that I used to date. We dated for a very long time. This was probably year 6 this happened. This is for anybody who is curious of whether or not you can get 2 DUIs in one night. It is possible. It's happened to my ex. So we were in a long-distance relationship. I was going to App State. He was in a PhD program at Georgia State, living in Atlanta. And I was graduating. This was in May of 2006. So lo and behold, of course, before he leaves Atlanta, he has to stop and get a 12-pack or maybe a case. It was probably a case because I think it was gone by the time he got to Hickory. Got pulled over and called me from jail. I was in Boone getting, hanging out with my family or doing whatever. I'm like, so he's like, yeah, I'm in jail. I need somebody to bail me out. I'm in Hickory. I just got pulled over and got a DUI. So I was like, fuck, shit, really? I'm graduating tomorrow. This is not good. So of course, because I love him and I care about this guy, I drive down to Hickory to get his ass out of jail. So we did, and I don't know if this is standard procedure, but the police let him take his car. Maybe only in Hickory, North Carolina. I don't know. So anyway, we started trucking up the mountain, going through, whatever else is there, Lenore and Blowing Rock. So anybody who knows Blowing Rock, the area, the 4-lane road that goes from Boone to Blowing Rock, there is almost every night of the week a roadblock. So he's following me and we're just like do 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 do, and I go through the roadblock just fine because obviously I haven't been drinking. But him, he had been drinking so much that he was still pretty wasted, and I don't know what his blood level was. It was pretty high still. Enough for them to take him to jail in Blowing Rock. So there you have it, 2 DUIs
Did you
one
get him
night.
out?
Who can do it?
Did you get him
I
out?
won't tell you his name, but
Don't tell out.
yeah,
Did you
it's
get him out?
anonymous.
Did you get him out the second time?
I did not. I kept going. I went on to Boone and I graduated the next day. His dad came to my graduation. He did not.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, we still talk, and we're friends. I haven't talked to him in about a year, but that was This happened in 2006, so that can, if you can do the math on how long it's been since we've been together, that was it for me. I was like, two DUIs. Only one person in the world can do that. And of course, he was my man. So, yeah, that's it.
Give it up for Jennifer.
Thanks, sorry.
Yay! You're the best, Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So anybody else? So we need more stories. This thing is not about me telling jokes. I can definitely tell really shitty jokes. I can keep going if you want me to do this. But does anybody else have a story? It could be bad. One of the reasons that we wanted to do this too is I used to run a comedy club that only focused on female stand-up comedians because I feel like women are a lot funnier than men. And I know a lot of women are like, no, that's not true. Yes, you're smarter than us. You're funnier than us. I am trying to encourage you to do this because if you can do this, you can do stand-up comedy. And if you can do a stand-up comedy, you can be a millionaire. So that's one of my number one goals, is to try to get people not afraid of the mic. So, ladies, gentlemen, anybody have another open mic story before I go into one? You got one? No? None? No, I want a sad one. Please come tell us. You don't have to put the names. Come on, just tell us. Come on, one story, please. I have to beg people to be the open mic. Yeah, so we do have notes. Yeah, come on through. Note that the best story gets a $15 gift certificate for Summit Coffee. Thank you so much. What's your name?
Tonya.
Tonya. Give it up for Tonya, everybody. Thank you, Tonya.
Okay, it was a really, really weird time in my life. I was out at dinner with a girlfriend, and our server was really cute. This was before I was dating that guy in the back. Still set the record straight. And he let me drink underage, so that was cool. And we exchanged numbers. We hung out. Our first date was just him coming over to mine and my friend's place, and it was like very, very high school. He like gave me a massage and we made out. I was young enough to think that was like really romantic and cool. It wasn't. But a couple of days later, he texted me to hang out again, and I agreed to. And then that night rolled around when we were supposed to have plans, and I didn't want to go. Not because there was anything wrong with him, really. I just didn't want to go. And so I made up a really shitty excuse, and I bailed on him. And me and my friend went out. And the place that we went out to, he was there. With a beautiful, beautiful blonde. And he saw me. And he texted me while he was with this beautiful blonde, really mad and just being shitty about the fact that I blew him off, and he sees me here and I'm very clearly not sick and I'm an asshole. And months later, I Facebook stalked him out of curiosity, and turns out that beautiful blonde was his fiance for a long time. That's my story.
Wow, that's great. Give it up for Tonya. That's a story. That's what I'm talking about, people. We gotta stop keeping these secret stories to ourselves, because if not, they will not. I'm glad you didn't say his name, and I'm glad that your boyfriend's not upset with that story. He's probably trying to figure out, who is that dude? I'm gonna go beat that guy up. Yeah. So anybody else have another story before we can check out the DMs? Anybody got another story that they want to go? You're not gonna offend anybody. No one will know who you are. You got a story? Yeah. Come on up. Yeah, I know. Come on up. Yay! Sad story. Come on up. Let's go. Kira, what's your name? Kira. Erin. Sorry, I'm such an idiot.
Yeah, you were drinking a lot.
I know, I was drinking the other night. Yeah. Give it up for Erin, everybody.
I have nothing to say.
Let me put it up for you so you can see. What? You don't have nothing? Yeah, you're going to be amazing. There you go.
I can't think of a really good dating story other than I dated a guy named, is there anybody here named Brad? Okay. I dated a guy named Brad. We all know a Brad, right? The rule of thumb is don't ever date a guy named Brad. But I did anyway, and we dated a while, and it was awful, except for He was really good in bed. Redeemed himself there with his name and his lame personality. So that went on for a while, and then we broke up, meaning I dumped him. And then I was kind of, hanging out with somebody, and Brad, I want to say it like that, Brad, had always wanted me to go to All Souls Pizza, which I don't eat cheese, I don't eat bread, and I do actually in secret. I just usually don't put them together. And I like it so much I probably overeat and I look like a fat cow. So I choose not to go there. But on this particular day, hanging out with these other folks, this new kind of person, we go to All Souls Pizza. And we sit outside, and there's only a couple people out there. It's a gorgeous day. We're sitting down and get some food. I got salad. I did not get pizza. And we were talking about dessert. They were talking about dessert. I immediately jumped on the wagon because I love dessert, especially chocolate, which is where the conversation went. And everybody was talking about chocolate. And I said, you know what? Having had a couple of drinks, which I don't drink, but apparently I do sometimes. And so when I drank, when I don't usually, and I was drunk, and I said, oh my God, you won't believe this. This guy I dated, Brad, hated chocolate. He hated chocolate. I mean, can you believe he hated chocolate? He would get so upset that I would pick on him about not liking chocolate. I'm like, who doesn't like chocolate? He'd say, well, everybody my whole life has picked on me because I don't like chocolate. I'm like, well, are you allergic to chocolate? He said, no. Just quit talking about the fucking chocolate. So, but I kind of liked talking about it anyway because he was kind of a douche. But anyway, so I'm sitting there with my friends who were also very drunk, more than I was. And I told them that story that he didn't like chocolate. They were like, are you freaking kidding me? Who doesn't like chocolate? And I was like, he doesn't like chocolate. And about that time I look up, there's nobody there's only 2 tables out there when I got there. There's no tables there except for one. And it's Brad. And he's sitting there with some other girl, telling her one of the same stories he told me, because I saw him doing the little hand gestures. I don't remember the story. It was pretty lame. But he was being very animated, and she was like, because even though his name was Brad, and he was lame, he was really good in bed. And I could tell that they already been having sex, because she was all like, like you could be saying nothing, and I just want to take you home right now. And so that's what happened, and they were drunk and thought it was funny, and they all looked at him, and they were like, that guy? You did that guy? Look, he's got a bald spot right there. That guy, Brad? He doesn't like chocolate? And I was like, just kind of keep it down, but they went with it, and it was hilarious. So I never go to All Souls. I never would go with him.
Yeah.
First time I'd ever been. We happened to be talking about chocolate. He's the only person in the world that I know that does not like chocolate. I happen to be drinking, which I rarely do, and I happened to just text him, hey, what's up? While he's sitting there with his girl. I thought it was hilarious. So that's pretty much the story. After that, we left. He went to his car where it's all cracked and falling apart, and you could see he was like making all the moves on her, and she's all like dreamy. And anyway, it's hilarious when you see your ex with somebody else. Just saying, especially when they don't like chocolate. Who doesn't like chocolate?
Awesome.
That's it.
Good luck to Erin. Who drinks, but sometimes she doesn't drink, so she's back and forth. It's okay. Way to go, Erin. And I think this is really good because this actually shows kind of the game plan that guys do, right? Because you said All Souls was your restaurant you would never go to. Of course, that's going to be the first place he goes to when he doesn't want to date you. So this is really, if you want to, this is kind of like a way you can figure out the work plan, because guys are pretty simple. We're stupid people, by the way. You know, we're lame. Sometimes we're good in bed. Sometimes we're not. Sometimes we're funny. Sometimes we're bad at sex. You know, it depends. You have to find that balance. It's amazing you can still date the guy just because he's good in bed. Oh, I guess that happens to all of us. I guess we all do that. So I was going to put it up there for one more open mic story. I was going to tell. You want to tell one? Oh, please, yeah, come on up. Yay! See, it's just therapeutic, people. The more you drink, the more therapy. Your name? I'm sorry.
Shelby.
Shelby, give it up for Shelby. And Summit Coffee.
Hey! Okay. So let me paint you a picture real quick.
Let me turn you up a little bit.
Great. It is summer of 2015. I am 19 years old. I am back home at my parents' place between freshman and sophomore year of college, and I'm dating this guy. So it's the 4th of July, and we're hanging out, and he looks at me and he goes, "Hey, I wrote a song about you. Do you want to hear it?" To which, of course, my 19-year-old self says, "Hell yes." So he sits me down, he looks at me square in the face, pulls out his phone, and hits play on this voice memo.
Well, yeah, she's no good for me, and no, we couldn't be. Hell, maybe we shouldn't be, but desire tastes like fire on my lips. It came as no surprise to me. I saw her identity. It said Miss Whiskey. Well, she's a wolf down the street, tasting kiss on your cheek. Feels just like the sunshine and beach. Now, boy, I'm a lucky man. If it's from 1 to 10, she's damn. Got blonde hair, blue eyes, red lipstick, oh my, oh my. Cute dress, she's a high mess. No wait, at the short skirt with the crop top shirt. Oh damn, girl, you're killing me. Asked you to dance and you're feeling me. Just against my heart, you're thrilling me. Baby, what's your name? Miss Whiskey. And she's a walk down the street, teasing kiss on your cheek. Feels just like the sunshine and beach. Boy, I'm a lucky man. Fish from 1 to 10, she's damn.
And the best part.
She's a walk down the street, teasing kiss on her cheek. She's a wild can't even dance, but when it comes to romance, well, she told her they can't. So, sweet thing must be a dream, but if she's a G, well, she fool me. Boy, I sure am with her one lucky man. And if it's from 1 to 10, she's damn.
That's it? Did you date him? Did you date him? What happened?
I never saw him again. I don't like country music.
And rap.
And that's it. Thank you.
Give it up for Shelby! Wow, creativity. Creativity. Does anybody else got another open mic? Oh, now I love this. Now it's a plethora. Come on up. What's your name? Sarah. Give it up for Sarah. There you go. Woo!
I'm so sorry to be following that song. So my story is about why I only do drink dates now and not dinner. So it was a few years ago, I was on Match.com. The guy that I was meeting, very handsome, lived in New Hampshire. I lived in upstate New York. We met in Burlington, Vermont, which is like in between. He was really cute and I was excited. I get to the restaurant and I see someone that looks like Gene Simmons doing this. And not Gene Simmons then when he was kind of handsome, but Gene Simmons now. So he had looked like a 28-year-old in the picture and he looked like a 7-year-old in person. And I was like, oh God, what do I do? So he had already spotted me, so I apparently did look like my photos, so I was happy about that. I sat down, we were in a little booth, a little corner booth, and he immediately started pawing me and touching me and putting his hands on my legs and being like really creepy. And I had committed to dinner But I was like, this isn't, and I'm pushing his hands off. I'm saying, you know, knock it off. Like, this isn't cool. So at one point, I decided he's just not going to stop. So I said, I'm going to go to the ladies' room. And I got up and I walked to the back of the restaurant, went right through the kitchen and said, guys, where's the exit? I'm on a terrible Match.com date. I need to get the fuck out of here. So that's what I did. And that was why I only do drink dates now and I never do dinner.
Look it up. Did you ever see if he had Gene Simmons' tongue? No? No, he didn't have the Gene Simmons. Okay, it didn't matter if whether he had the tongue or not. This is what I was trying to do. This is great. Does anybody else have a date? We need a man to do a dating story. Anybody got other than me? Anyone gonna give a dating story? And I know why guys don't do this, by the way. Guys are afraid if you're with your girlfriend, they will hate you or talk about it the whole drive back. But hey, let's do this. Can we have a hall pass for the guys who are in here to talk about a bad dating story? Because remember, they broke up with that person to be with you, right? So there's a reason. And there's some single dudes here too. Well, there's one, two, yeah. So I can. You want me to start this out? I got another story I can tell, or do you want someone else to tell the story? Okay. I'm gonna tell the story, and I want to show you, even though I'm doing this. So there's another reason why people are like, why are you trying to do this? Trying to hook up with ladies? No. I'm trying to show you how screwed up we are and how screwed up I am. This is how bad we can get as a guy. I dated a woman when I was living in Florida. She taught abstinence education. She was all about abstinence, and there's nothing wrong with abstinence. I think abstinence, if that's your thing, is a beautiful thing. You go and you do abstinence. But I like to have sex with her. So what would happen is she would teach abstinence, but we would hook up. She would go to school to teach the classes, and she'd come over to my apartment, and then we would have sex all afternoon, and then she'd go back to her next class. And it's really bad because she would show me her slide deck, and she would show the slides she would show the high schoolers, and it would show gonorrhea in its worst stages, and this horrible, all these STDs. And she's like, what do you think? And then we would make out and have sex, and then it's really, so this shows you how, and I was actually proud of it, because I was able to make a woman who teaches abstinence have sex with me, but then this is how shallow a man could be. We didn't break up because of that, because she was a beautiful woman. We broke up because she had a really crappy car, because she worked for the education system, so she didn't get paid a lot, so she had a really crappy car. So the belt squealed really bad, so I could hear her 2 miles away, and she was coming up so I broke up with her and she had a bad paid job, and so I could hear her for 2 miles coming in, and I would try to hide, and I broke up with her because her belt squealed on her car. And that's what this story's about. Head shaking, because guys are fucking monsters. Anyway, see, you can't get worse than, well, I've got some worse ones, but let's just stop with that one. Anybody else have a dating story before we go to another Craigslist Connections? Anybody has one of those? But anyway, I want to thank you guys for doing these stories. We got some more stories coming out, because I know some more stories want to come out here. But I want to do one more Craigslist Connections, because I think that these are pretty powerful. The other thing is, I'm noticing that the tweet wall is getting pretty busy. So if you guys have sent in, we have some people sending tweets from for your DMs. So if you have any direct messages, come on. The other thing I'd like to try to do too is after I do the Craigslist Connections, I want to hear the best pickup lines you've ever heard. So you've got to have some great pickup lines. Not that we're going to steal them, because I definitely don't want to do that. But I want to hear the funniest pickup lines you ever heard, because we're going to be winning. We'll be giving prizes for that as well. Okay. So with that being said, we're going to do one more Craigslist Connections. We're going to be doing that real quick. So as I say, I am not making fun of Craigslist. I am not making fun of these connections. I'm just saying that these are statistically impossible to actually make happen, but I want to make these happen because people took time to get online. And you know how difficult it is to create a maybe you don't, but Craigslist posts are not that easy to do because you have to get it. It's just a big mess. So this one is called 3 months. This is for someone in West Asheville. I want the dramatic music. Hold on. It's been 3 months and it hasn't gotten any better. Last night I had a dream about you that is hurting me today. You better be happy and end up with all the things you want. That's the only way I'll be okay with what I'm having to deal with right now. Love and miss you. That's so cute, right? 3 months, West Asheville. Pie and face booth. Anyone did the pie and face booth? I was working a pie in the face charity booth, and you stopped with your friend and pied me. I laughed as much as you did. You came back an hour later, and you and your friend both pied me. 3 times. Thanks for the donations. You told me your name, but I had pie in my ears and I didn't catch it. Hope you see this. Would love to get to know you. Pie in the face. I really like that one, by the way. I just like that kitty here because it's pie in the ear. Clinging, I guess. You know, it doesn't matter. Where are you? Silva. It's been a long time since I've seen you around and I hope you're okay. It was hot when you took me to a secluded place that night. We had the time at your house, the time at my house. I miss you. Hope you see this and we can get together again. No details. No details. Last one. Blue-haired dyed girl in Asheville Mall. Blue-haired girl, dyed hair, Asheville Mall. Hi, I know this is really weird to say, but I held the door open for you, and you thanked me, and maybe I'm being weird, but you seem very nice and sweet. I wanted to say something, but you walked away too quick before I could man up and turn around. I had a black t-shirt and blue jeans on with a black hat, and you had a denim shorts and a denim shirt over another shirt. On the off chance you see this, maybe I could talk to you sometime or something. I don't know. Anybody? Anybody? This is for Katie at Target. Does anybody know Katie at Target? Please let her know. I helped you with a mirror. You were very cute. Maybe you were around? Katie at Target. So that was Craigslist connection. Give it up for Craigslist. Yay! I love those, by the way. I know you're like, what? You know, here's the best thing to do. When you get drunk or you're taking shots, go to Craigslist, look at these connections, and just start reading them at the table. It's the best. Because someone is in love there, or they're drunk too. You're probably taking shots. It doesn't matter. So, what I wanted to see right now is I wanted to find out what is the funniest, not punchline, the funniest pickup line you've ever heard. Does anybody know any pickup lines? Okay, come on up. You want to just say it out loud? Hold on, let me get the mic for you.
I'll just shout.
Okay, shout it.
Does this rag smell like chloroform to you?
Does this rag smell like chloroform to you? Give it up for rapey jokes. Rapey. Give it up for rapey. Yeah, there we go. Any other pickup lines? Any other pickup lines? You have another one? What do you get picked up on a lot? You have another one?
I love every bone in your body, especially mine.
Oh, I love every bone in your body, especially mine. Rapey, those are the rapey words. Any romantic pickup lines that you've ever heard? No? Nobody does pickup thing? I don't even know as you can tell, I'm bumbling on the microphone in front of a bunch of strangers. I definitely don't know how to do pickup lines. Is there any pickup lines that women have given to men? Come on, there's got to be. This is a feminist world now where Me Too has happened. So there's got to be pickup lines now. No? Yeah.
No, I don't have one, but I have a question.
Sure.
And maybe somebody here can answer.
Sure, what's your question?
So my question is this.
Yes?
If you're a runner, you run, and you see some hot guy out there, what do you do?
So if you see a hot guy running, what do you do?
You run after him.
Are you in your car or are you running beside him?
You're running.
Are you running in opposite directions or side by
And
side?
then I'm thinking, should I turn around and run after him, and then what would you say? Hey.
Do that again. I like the way you do it. Hey. No, maybe not that. But, well, I'll tell you my personal story with that. Yeah, well, this is what I did, and this is a horrible example. It's flipped, but I was living in Colorado. I was running, and I used to live in Colorado Springs, where the Olympic training team works out, which is Erin. You look at me. I can't compete with that. Anyway, as I was running, there was a woman who was she had an amputated leg, and she had a dog, and she was running fast. She was incredibly hot, and I really wanted to talk to her. And I'm out of shape. So I did what you did. I ran as fast as I could to get up beside her. And then I was going to try to put up a line, a pickup line. And I was like, I couldn't, I just sound like a pervy dude. And then she pulled the dog in. And so I would suggest fall down. Maybe what you would do is fall down and have him help you. But that's kind of, trip him. You could trip him. You could trip, you could do that. But is it really worth it? That's what I'm saying, is he really worth it? Was he that good looking? Because here's the thing is, what we say in Asia, living in Hong Kong, there's a line that we say, if a woman's perfect, she's a man. Because you're in Asia. And if a man's perfect, he's gay. So just make sure, which is good. He was not that perfect. Well, then I think you should trip it. That's good, yeah. So I think the next thing I'll do for the next swipe mic is pick up strategies for women. That's, what you do in this situation. So, anybody have another open mic story? I want to try to get a guy. Come on, Zati. You have to tell somebody else's story. Come on, Zati. Come on, Zati. You know what?
I've been thinking about this.
Come on, Zati. Come on, just get up. Come here and talk about it. Just tell one story, Zati. Zati, you've been around the world. You lived in Italy. You're from London. You're now in Asheville. You're dating a woman better looking than Shelby. Come on, man. You got to get up here and do a story. Don't be shy. Give it up for Zati. Everybody put pressure on Zati.
Story about.
It could be anybody's.
Okay.
Hey, that's too short for you.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
You sure?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I think the weirdest story that I've ever heard, or I didn't know how to feel about it. But I had a friend who was dating, just a single guy who's dating, and he's using an app, and he's using this app. He's taking the most flattering picture of himself. It was Tinder. It was a tender moment. And so he's using Tinder. He's taking the best pictures of himself. He's like not buying a suit, but wearing one at a department store. Takes a picture of himself. Finds this young lady who he was attracted to. They set everything up. He goes and picks her up. And she doesn't look like the picture at all.
Catfished.
I don't know about it. It's a type of fish. I don't know if it's exactly a catfish. I think it might have been, angelfish. And so, and I know he's not looking like he said he was at all. And so he is, they're going to this restaurant. He is, he wants to call it off. He wants to call it quits. And I'm sure she probably wants to call it quits. So he takes her, he's like, I'm gonna drop you off in front of the restaurant. I'll go park. See you inside. He drops her off in front of the restaurant. He pulls off. He goes home.
He never comes back?
Never comes back. So I don't know how to feel about it, but I feel like both of these people probably won something. But that's my story.
Give it up for Zati. And that brings up a great question. How many people have been ghosted? Has anyone been ghosted? Zati. Oh, you've been dating for like 10 years, 20 years.
It was before I had a girlfriend.
Before the internet?
No, before I had a girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, before you had a girlfriend. here. How many people have been ghosted before? I like a lot of people say never been ghosted. What is that? Yeah, so what was did you get revenge on your ghost? Did you? Oh yeah, of course, yeah, that's right, yeah. I don't think I've ever ghosted, but I think one of those things is that, I mean, what do you do in that situation? If you sit down with someone and they're not exactly, as a man or as a woman, if you go on a date with someone and they're not exactly what they have advertised, I just am polite. I go through the date because there's something I'm going to learn from them. I might not end up being married to them, but I want to make sure that you might learn something, right? Or do I ghost? I don't know. Is that the proper? Because I'm trying to learn from, because one of the things is I've learned in the Me Too movement that's happened, but I think the number one thing that guys need is instructions, right? Because we've just been programmed since birth from especially our dirty uncles. Everyone has a dirty uncle. Unless you're in China, there's no uncles, because there's only one child policy. But other than that, it's a very difficult situation there, but no one has nieces and nephews either. It's a really messed up situation. But anyway, you have a lot of illegitimate wives, but it doesn't matter. So one of the things is I want to learn what it's like, what it is that women not want, but how are we supposed to behave? Because one of the things that I think that, and I know that most women are like, you should just know. To be honest, I never had a sister. So I didn't even know where a woman's vagina was. I didn't even know you had a vagina. I learned from my dad my dad was a milkman. Should I explain this story? I'm just going to tell this story. It's a true story. So my dad was a milkman. He was washing his milk truck one day. I was in his office just sitting around, and I opened up this drawer, and oh my God, there was this picture of this woman just being mutilated. Like her legs were open, and I just saw her insides. I was like, oh my God, my dad kills people for a living. I didn't know what was going on. And so I went to go, and I thought for 3 months, I didn't hug my dad. My dad would hug me. I was like, you know when you pick up a cat, your dad doesn't want to be picked up? My dad would hug me, and I just like this. I thought my dad was a murderer for 3 months. And then finally I confronted my father, and I said, Dad, I was in your milk, I promise you, milkmen have offices. But anyway, I was in your milkman office, and I pulled out this drawer, and I saw this woman being mutilated. And he's like, oh, that's not mutilation, that's a dirty picture. And I was like, Dad, do you murder people for a living as you deliver milk? And he's like, no, that's just what a woman looks like on the inside. I'm like, I don't understand what it is. So I don't know if you guys remember this, but we had World Book encyclopedias. So he went to the World Book encyclopedia, opened up, and he looked up sex, and he showed me the picture. There was a medical picture of a woman's vagina, and that made it worse, because I was like, oh my God, what is this? Because I didn't know where you peed out of. I thought women peed out your butthole. I didn't know. I had no idea there was a second place. So what I'm trying to say, in a long story, is you've got to teach us what's going on. I didn't know. I finally figured out y'all have another special hole that he comes out of. There's also a third hole, but that's for another discussion for another time. So anyway, with that being said, I wanted to say, does anyone have any other pickup lines or any other open mic stories you want to do? I want to also give it up for Summit Coffee for staying late. You know, they're staying late for us, by the way. Give it up for Shelby and all of them. We love them. And then Ashley's listening. I'm recording this for the podcast. So you have another story in the back?
I don't know if it's a story, but I've been on dating sites.
A dating sites, yeah?
Yeah, it's really interesting. And this guy seemed to be really
Aggressive?
offended that I didn't want to continue on with the conversation. So I thought maybe I would share.
Yeah, come on up. Come on up. We need to. So this is a guy that's matched you on a dating, like Tinder or something? You started having a conversation, you didn't like the conversation, and you just stopped the conversation?
Yeah, this is probably not all that exciting. A lot of you probably are already dealing with
No, but this is good topic,
Okay.
and also we're desperate for people to get on the mic. Go ahead.
Well, I'm missing some of the.
Get up near the mic, though.
Okay. I'm missing some of the conversation that we had, so it's not going to be as punchline as I had hoped. So I'll start with the one that's a little bit more, I guess I took it as kind of being rude.
Okay.
You know, you're putting your heart out there, this is what I'm looking for, you know, friends good, it, but I really want to find my person, and blah, 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 blah. Honest, and that's how I am. Okay. So he writes, I stayed the course in spite of the seemingly lengthy profile that you wrote. It turned out that paragraphs 2 and 3 can simply be deleted in the My Story section. Just saying. Glad you made an error. You are human. You read sophisticated, yet, if I may, implicit is a sense of dismal hope in finding that special one. I find you intriguing. Respectfully, might you be slightly jaded? If Prince Charming stood before you, do you grant the grade A and subtract for oddities? Or start with an F and add for likes? Eagerly waiting for your response. Warm regards.
Really? He wrote that?
Yeah. So that's that one. And then after swiping about 2,000 guys, I found one very attractive who doesn't live here, of course. So I'm sure there's lots of very attractive men who are single here that I don't know. In any event, I'm missing part of the text, so it's not quite as punchliney as I had hoped, but he was being really tongue-in-cheek and thought it was a good pickup line or a paragraph, if you will. And he was asking me what I do, and I was like, oh, if you mean what I do for a living, I'm a body worker and I teach yoga. But what I really do is I spend a lot of time outside. I enjoy the woods. I be in nature. I love all kinds of sports and activities, and chilling. So what does he do? He said, well, let's see, for fun, some of my interests are smoking in church, dropping F-bombs on the elderly, scratching and sniffing instant lottery tickets, drinking spoiled milk, getting paper cuts, playing naked table tennis, humping legs, and hiding from the cops. It's great fun. I'm in insurance sales, high level. Also, I'm a part-time astronaut. Sends me a picture that looks very legit, very handsome, very normal looking kind of guy. Hey, this is me fly fishing today with my friend. All normal, right?
Yeah.
And we were having this conversation that I thought was going to be normal, and I was like, I'm trying to remember my response. I said something like, I have a feeling that maybe your friend, who is likely drunk, got a hold of your messages and sent those to me. But I did enjoy looking at your photos, so thank you. That's it.
Good, Erin! That was good. That was a good direct message. Man, he just laid it out there, right? Those insurance salesmen are pervy, man. They're super pervy. Okay, so this is, we're going to wrap this thing up. We're going to start to wrap this thing up. Does anybody else have any other stories before I get to the last Craigslist connection, and then we're going to start giving out the prizes? I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for your patience. I didn't know if this was going to go. I thought there was going to be 3 people. Actually, when Zati showed up, I thought it was just going to be you and me, Zati, doing this. So I'm really proud. We're going to try to do this once a month. And also, I'll be doing a podcast, so I'll be putting this on SoundCloud.com swipe mic, so you guys can listen to it. This recording is not going to be, hopefully won't be shown anywhere. If so, I'll make sure it's approved by everybody before I send it out. But the goal for this was, I don't know if I told you, I work for a company called 108 Media. We're trying to create like a dating show called Swipe Mic, so this was kind of a concept idea. So hopefully this is something we can launch in Asheville. I fly out to Hong Kong on the 26th. We're going to be doing this in Hong Kong. So I'll send everybody links so you can watch what they say about, because over there, dating foreigners is kind of hot. Like, I'm exotic. I'm tall over there. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm not just talking about my hair. I'm saying, like, I'm pretty badass. And what's amazing is that a lot of people say, well, wow, you look so stiff. You must be really nervous. No, I broke my neck twice. I was playing football when I was a kid, which a lot of people are like, oh, that's so sad. I'm like, no. It's great for first dates, because girls are like, wow, you're so attentive. I'm like, no, I can't turn my head. I've been bored shitless for like an hour, but I can't turn my head, so. And you'll also notice too, if you ever see any pictures of me, I'm always wearing black. Not because I'm trying to be cool and metrosexual, I'm colorblind. I didn't know I was colorblind up until I was like 12, I think. Up until I was 12, I thought I was a genius at Rubik's Cube. I'm like, give me that! I'm done! Anyway, that's the end of my jokes. So anyway, so I'm going to do the last Craigslist connections. These are the most important ones. Actually, I saved the best for last. These are pretty touching. And to be honest, go out there and write your own Craigslist connection. Write it for that person you may never see again. Write it for the people that's in this room right now. That would be hilarious for the next, that would be also creepy, but, because we're right here. But the number one goal for this was to finally get people off their phones and trying to meet. Because normally what happens is you're in a club and the music's loud and you're drunk. You've seen this, especially you two, you saw me doing this. And you're trying to talk, you're like, what's your name? Where are you from? And you make out. You know, that's really what it is. So the goal here is to try to put out there, and I know I taint myself by saying I don't know where a vagina is, so I put myself out of the loop. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to go through Craigslist connections, and then we're going to wrap up with the thing, unless anyone has another open mic story. Make sure you get more drinks. Make sure you tip somebody coffee, and we're going to start with some more romantic music. The last Craigslist connections. This one's dedicated to Little Blonde working at McDonald's. Lunchtime today. You hooked us up with an extra cup and fixed our messed up order. If you happen to see this, hit me back. That's gonna happen. The next one is dedicated, your roommate wants to make a narrative of your crazy eventful life. This is for someone in North Asheville. We met briefly on July 7th. It sounds like you've lived a lot more than your years. We're from the same town. Your name starts with an L. I felt warm in your presence. I love the bits of your perspective that you shared with me. I feel like you're a person I'd like to know. If you'd like to meet, let me know your name and where we went to high school. This is dedicated to past each other twice with Hawthorne and Wells Fargo. I was at the light turning left. You were turning left on the Hyundai. You're a beautiful woman with shortest hair driving a Tacoma. You have a great smile. We have passed each other twice. I would love to see that smile again. This is a romantic one dedicated to a lady at Dollar General. The lady that pulled into Dollar General yesterday around 4:30 p.m. Dark-headed, pair of shorts, sunglasses, and 60 brown legs. You definitely made my evening. So if you know that woman at Dollar General, hook a brother up. This is for Margaret. I told you that you could drive my car, and you said I could drive yours. I want to see you. I regret not getting to know you better. When I cut my hair, you made fun of me. I loved it. Even our conversation at the traffic light brought a smile to my face all week. I can't imagine how it would feel to be close to you. This is a little dirty, so if you don't like dirty ones, earmuffs. I was biking along the river last week and passed you in a secluded part. You seemed to indicate you wanted service. I backtracked and found you waiting. You had a slim beard, ink, down attitude. I was surprised at what you made me drink, but want to do it again. M for M. Here's the last one. And this is a pretty good one. This is dedicated to Michelle. I will always love you. Even though our time was short together, my heart will still skips a beat when I see your pictures on Facebook. I don't dare message you because my heart can't take it. I miss you. I wish our circumstance and place in life would have been a better outcome. Almost 13 years clean, and you're the only person I miss from that life. I miss you, Michelle. I've never felt so connected to another person in my entire life, and never will. You'll always be beautiful to me, even though you cut your hair off. That's Craigslist connections, by the way. Give it up for Craigslist. Give it up for Craigslist. I just love that one because it was so heartfelt. Until he did like her hair anymore. I just thought that was first. So I think you guys have been great. I already know. I think because we know the people that did the open mics, we have 3 amazing gift cards that I want to try to give out. So the first gift card I want to give is to my boss. I want to give that to Jennifer Gordon because she was the first one to get up. Give it up for Jennifer Gordon. Thank you, Jennifer, for doing the first story. You were so scared, but look, you opened up a, give it up. How many people came here because, come throw up. Come up here. How many people have came here because of Asheville Date Night Guide? Does anybody come up with that? That is what you created. That's the Asheville Date Night Guide. Yeah, thanks for calling Asheville Date Night. Do you want to say anything to your Asheville Date Night crowd?
I love you. I love you.
She loves you. We're going to be doing more of these things, right? Anything you want to announce? Is there any other
Rebecca
events?
just walked in and she has a story, but
Who?
this young lady right
Oh, yeah, come on. Do you have one more story?
Yes.
Okay, well, you might have to give that back. Come on up. What's your name?
Give it
No,
to
I'm
Rebecca.
just kidding. No, what, Rebecca? Is your name Rebecca?
Yeah.
Give it up for Rebecca, everybody. Rebecca.
Y'all, the reason I'm late, I was on a date. I'm not kidding you. My date was cute, and it went well. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about this. Like I call this the worst, greatest bad date ever. Okay, so this was 4 years ago. Do we have any Casey Musgraves fans in the house? Casey Musgraves, the singer.
Yeah, over there.
Okay, so 2014, she had released her first album. It was a sensation. She won like Best New Artist, Best Album of the Year. It's such a good album. I was listening to it all summer, like really bonding with Casey Musgraves. And then it was like early fall. She was playing at the Orange Peel that weekend, and I really wanted to go. But at the time, I was on OkCupid, and I had like exhausted all my options on OkCupid, like locally. So I thought I'd start looking like a little bit wider, which somehow like landed me this connection in West Virginia. And I was like, West Virginia, where's that? But it turns out like it's 3 hours away. 3 hours is a reasonable amount of time to get to your day, if you really want to get there. So I was like, this is like geographically feasible on the weekends and whatnot. So I just started chatting with this guy, and I'm like so charming digitally, like he just really fell for me, and he wanted to come visit. And I think we did the online video chatting and telephone calls a few times. And I was like, you should come to Asheville, because he lived in really out in the middle of nowhere in West Virginia, and he was a government employee, a tall, dark, and handsome man, and that's my type. So I was like, just come on down to Asheville, get an Airbnb, there's a ton of them, come check out Asheville and we can meet. So and by this time he's in love with me. I'm sorry, this story's gone on a long time. Okay, it's not going to come back to Casey Musgraves, I promise.
Yeah, we're ready.
So he comes down and gets this Airbnb in West Asheville, and I just get dressed up, looking so cute. I had this little black dress and these awesome shoes, and my hair was looking good, and I just got the whole thing working. And I go over there, and he opens the door. And, it's like you have to see somebody in person to see what they're really like. And, instantly, I'm like, oh, no, what did I get myself into? Because I hope I'm not going to offend anyone, but he was just wearing, khaki pants and, a blue dress shirt and, this really, ordinary yellow and blue tie. Sort of like he was, a manager at J.C. Penney or something. And so this is just not my type. Like, it's somebody else's type. It's not for me. Like, guys, I just want to say, like, if you want to go out with me, don't wear khaki pants. Don't wear, especially with a blue button-down shirt. No. There's no reason to wear that. There's no reason to wear an ugly tie. And, like, all at once. Like, I was mortified. And then this guy, you know, he wanted to spend the whole weekend with me. And then he was so insecure. And, like, then he starts telling me about his ex-wife and blah, 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 not a good idea. And then we're, like, walking around downtown, and he just felt, he was so ill at ease, like, walking around downtown, because he'd never been there, didn't know where to go, and, you know, I was having to take the lead, and he was just, like, wanting to be the kind of person who knew what he was doing, was able to take the lead. But anyway, we end up, like, at Posana, like, having a fancy, like, beautiful dinner, and he's, like, telling me about his dumb ex-wife, and then we go back to his place, and then but I have to take responsibility that I started telling him about my lame-o ex, too, when we were back at his place. So, you know, I was, like, pretty lame in my own way on this date. And then he tries to kiss me, and I was like, oh, no. And then I just left, and I never felt comfortable, like, to invite him to my house or anything. But we had plans the next day to go hiking. So we ended up going hiking, and it was actually, like, a beautiful hike around Graveyard Fields. And then we were, like, sitting there on this beautiful hillside, and he's like, I see you have some hair going gray. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who says that? You know, way to make a girl feel beautiful. And then we drive back down, and then I'm just still, like, being polite and hanging out with him. And then, but all that time I'm thinking of this Casey Musgrave show that's happening at the Orange Peel. And he wasn't into Casey Musgrave, so he didn't know who she was, and so I wasn't going to invite him to go to the show. And then he just gets all nervous again, and he's like, I should just go home. And I'm like, you know what, I don't want to spend, like, another breath of my life, like, trying to convince this man that he should stay on this date, because it's wrong. So he's like, I'm like, okay, bye, and I just left, and I got in my car. I drove directly to the Orange Peel. I parked. I, like, hoofed it over there. And there's all these people standing around and a line around the block. I walk up to the ticket office. I'm like, do you have any tickets? They say, we have one ticket left.
Whoa.
I say, I will take it. I go in. I just stand there right in front of Casey Musgraves, and I was so thankful. And it was like God was like, you know, when you get, like, a hell yes from the universe, like, getting that ticket was like, but it was also like God was laughing at me, but also giving me, like, a hell yes. So that's why it was, like, the greatest, worst date, because, like, I ended up at the Casey Musgrave show seeing my hero, Casey, enjoying the show, and then never talked to this poor fellow again. Thank you.
Give it up for Rebecca. Rebecca! Oh, sorry, you okay? Oh, yeah, I was like, I thought I lost you there. I was really Rebecca, that was a great story. That was Destiny telling you that guy sucks. That's what that is. So, that was a great finale for the show. Any other open mics? Anyone want to top that one? Let me tell you something. We have a phone number, by the way, you can call. It sounds kind of creepy. I thought it would be a good idea. For those people who don't want to get on the mic, you can leave it. So we have a phone number called 828-569-6699. You can leave a voicemail, and you can leave a story. Or let's say you got ghosted. Or let's say you got into a date that sucks so bad, and you're just angry, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, there's no one to talk to. Call that number. Leave some crazy shit. We would love to broadcast it. We would leave your name. We would leave some details. But we think that would be hilarious because we want emotional stress. That's funny. So that's good. So I just wanted to thank everyone. I have 2 more gift cards. I'm definitely going to give Rebecca one. And I'm gonna have, Jennifer, I'm gonna steal yours back and we're gonna give it to Erin as well. Is that all right? She knows. Because Jennifer, she gave me these, so I can take it back from her. So anyway, I wanna thank everyone for coming. I am Jackson. Go to swipemic.com, tell other people about it. I will be coming back to do another one in October. So the next one we're doing is, September. We'll do one a month. And one of the things I want to make sure is bond over a date you hate. Thank you guys. Do not give up on love. Do not give up on romance. But definitely swipe before you wipe if you're on the toilet. So to make sure, okay? Love you guys. Jackson out. There we go.